Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Tupac Shakur, William Wordsworth, William Shakespeare all have one thing in common. They told us South Africa is a movie, a drama, a series. Today was a very interesting day in South African politics. Very busy Monday. Very busy Monday. 4 things happened and or will happen. Number 1, Julius Malema was in court receiving a judgment for carrying a firearm and shooting what was alleged to be live ammunition. Big story in and of itself. Number 2, there was a press conference by the Special Investigations Unit detailing their findings about the looting of the Tembisa Hospital. In this, they specifically named Hangwani Morgan Maumela and Vusi Matlala as part of the syndicate that looted the hospital. Number 3, the Patriotic Alliance and the ANC are in negotiations about the return of Kenny Kunene to the position of Transport MMC after he was found at one of the houses of the big Hosh fathers, namely Katiso Molefe. That's a big thing, something that could collapse the GNU. Gayton McKenzie has been making threats left, right, and center. And then number 4, we had the first day of testimony of General Khumalo at the Madlanga Commission. All of these things happening in one day, a drama, a movie, a series, a telenovela. I want to submit to you that the last 3 events that I spoke about are interconnected. And I submit to you that the only event that actually mattered today was the testimony of General Khumalo, because he started exposing the Big Five and the infiltration of the police by the Big Five and the executive by these Hosh Curry dons. The real Hosh Curry behavior exposition was what was happening at the Madlanga Commission by General Khumalo. Today, one of the most explosive things that he revealed was the existence of the Big Five cartel. A cartel so powerful, it can make a minister of police disband a task team to try to stop an investigation into its member, to try to stop the task team from arresting its members. A cartel so powerful that on New Year's Day, the minister can make that kind of announcement, be drafting a letter on New Year's Eve. Imagine that, 31 December, the minister is typing, I want to remove task team for these reasons. No, that doesn't sound right. Task team deletion for these reasons. No, that doesn't. Letters are being sent around on New Year's Day. That's how powerful this cartel is. Here's some of what General Khumalo said. Don't lose focus. Don't lose focus. Here's some of what he said today.
Amongst these cartels, which are made up of different syndicates, there is one identified in the country known as Big Five, which have since been identified as being very sophisticated, and it has got widespread influence, and it's involved in a broad spectrum of their illicit activities.
So when you refer to the Big Five, are you referring to Big Five cartels or Big Five individuals who are part of the cartel?
Big Five individuals that are part of one cartel. As shown, the currently identified cartel known as Big Five is having a structure as reflected with the main commodity being drugs, and then there are other illicit activities. Those that are mentioned, reflected there in their boxes or positions, they've already been addressed, being a Mr. Katiso Molefe, as well as a Mr. Vusi Matlala, and then the other 3 are still being addressed.
So the reason for the skulls is because you can't name those individuals at this point.
That is correct, Commissioners.
Well, not in public.
That is correct, Commissioners.
Thank you. You may continue.
The main commodity of the cartel in question is illicit drug trafficking nationally and internationally, which is then coupled with contract killings that are associated then with the drug trafficking processes, and the other commodity is cross-border vehicle hijacking, as well as kidnappings, tender frauding, and also the extortions that are mainly related to drug trafficking. Extortions, they are mainly at the business areas of the cartel. The political and social connections. The Big Five has already penetrated the political sphere, and there are documented cases of high-profile connections in the political arena. Senior politicians alleged to be complicit and/or willfully blind to the syndicate operations.
We almost got to the juiciest parts today. We almost got there today, but we're going to have to wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be the day when we finally see the proof and the extent of the WhatsApp messages on the phone of one Vusi Houdini, the cat, Matlala Wetsa Manyala, 9 lives, no more. 10th life, Baba, we're on you now. Today, they move so slowly through some of the important aspects, and the judges, sometimes the commissioners, were asking some questions that didn't help the momentum, if you know what I'm trying to say. They were asking some questions, and I'm like, why are you asking? Let's keep it moving. Tomorrow, we're going to get to those messages, but even what was discussed today is important, and I feel like there's an attempt to shift focus. Let's talk about the other event, the SIU event. Let's talk about that. The Gayton McKenzie event is also linked to everything that's playing out. The Gayton McKenzie factor. All of that thing of saying, no, we cleared Kenny Kunene because we couldn't get a hold of this guy, etc. That whole legal report is flimsy. It's not worth the paper that it's written on. If I had time, you see, there's so much happening, I would focus on that, but it would take away from the big conversation. The timing of the SIU press conference and announcement, to me, is not an accident. It was a high-profile event with the Premier of Gauteng, the Minister of Health, a lot of media coverage. It was something to me that made me think about one thing: timing. Why now? Why today? What's happening that has made something of this nature so exigent that they had to roll out what they rolled out today? Because Babita has been a story for a long time. She was killed years ago at this point. These investigations have been happening for years. What happened today was confirming a lot of has been discussed on this channel. I've already told you about many of these actors, their involvement with Babita. I've told you about what the book by Jeff Wick covers, and it's been spoken about and it's in the public domain. For months, it's been covered. I told you weeks ago on this channel about Hangwani Morgan Maumela, who for some reason the media can still not find a picture of. Even the SIU doesn't have a picture of this guy. Who is this dude that you can't find a picture of him? Only a side profile of this guy is available on the whole internet. How is the guy who's going to Edwin Sodi's parties, who's hanging around at Rockets, according to the reports, nobody has a picture of him? What happens when pictures of him are taken? What's so... You know, this guy reminds me of the song Ubanu Mzege Zege. Ubanu Mzege Zege. Umzege Zege. Ubanu Morgan. Who is Morgan Maumela? Really? If you bumped into him at the mall, you wouldn't know him. You wouldn't be able to take a picture of him and expose him like Tabo Pesta. Ubanu Morgan Maumela. This guy, Morgan Maumela, he is the key. He is the key. I don't think Morgan is in charge. I think Morgan unlocks keys to the upper rooms of this whole thing that's going on. I read the timing of this event today in two ways. Firstly, it was a form of crisis management and specifically finding a foul person and narrowing the focus of the public. Secondly, it was a red herring. A red herring fallacy is a form of argument which is used to distract the audience from the main issue. Historically, they say the fish, the red herring fish, was used by prisoners who were escaping, running through the woods to throw off the dogs which were chasing them when they escaped. So it was supposed to mask your scent, so to speak. And then if the dogs run after the smell of the red herring, or they are confused by the smell of the red herring, then those prisoners could then escape. That's where the name of the fallacy comes from. So this is sometimes a tactic that is used when there are massive crises playing out in senior politicians' lives. If you think about Donald Trump, for example, whenever the Epstein files are mentioned, something happens to distract from that conversation, to try to flood the zone with lots of information so that that conversation doesn't dominate. It's happened a variety of times. Whenever he's in trouble, you get a situation of that nature. And the same thing is happening here. Let's think about everything that has been done thus far that has failed. Some strategies have been tried and failed. They got Paul O'Sullivan out on day one, General Sibiya out on day one to dismiss and demonize General Mkhwanazi. They tried it on day one. That did not land. Then they got the middlemen to go and do all kinds of interviews to try to create confusion and misdirection. This is why we saw recently Serge Kabong. We've seen Malcolm X, Chakalaka version, not the original Malcolm X. We saw Brown Mkhotsi doing interviews and then people speaking on behalf of Brown Mkhotsi, another bizarre interview, unsuccessful. All of those strategies, unsuccessful, led to more questions than answers. And it was so weird how these people were getting access to all of these mainstream media platforms. All of a sudden, Brown Mkhotsi is here, there, and everywhere. All of a sudden, Serge Kabong can go and do interviews all over the place, vouching for Sibiya. Very strange for this so-called GBV activist who's just known for being in the nightclubs and living a life. Somebody who called himself an international blesser. All of a sudden, he's a GBV activist working with Sibiya. It's been bizarre. It's been bizarre. The last strategy, which was tried and failed before we got to today, was the request for evidence by some journalists in the media articles that they wrote after Mkhwanazi testified. Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? That didn't work either because we saw that there was a lot of evidence. Mkhwanazi came with evidence. More evidence was adduced. Today was evidence bonanza day. It's starting. Bonanza of evidence is on the way. It's en route. It's downloading. This is real life. This is really happening. And people are panicking. They're panicking because everything that they've tried has not worked. No one was sold on all of these strategies. So today, my reading of it is that they had to go to the 48 laws of power and try strategy 26 plus a little something. So strategy 26 basically is scapegoat plus red herring. Law 26 of the 48 laws of power says, keep your hands clean. The law advises maintaining a spotless appearance by using others as scapegoats and cat paws to disguise your involvement in mistakes or nasty deeds. It emphasizes having a convenient scapegoat around to take the blame when things go wrong, thus protecting your reputation by concealing your mistakes. So this thing is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So what did they do? They decided to give the public Hangwani Morgan Maumela. Nangu Hangwani, tata lo Hangwani, hambani, tata Hangwani hambani. That's basically what they were trying to do, right? And to try to also focus the focus of the public on just one thing. Have you asking questions about one scandal? There's something I want to say because this is much bigger than that. I want you to understand 4 things I want you to understand. Number 1, understand that these syndicates, the Hosh curry behavior, they were not just operating in the Tembisa hospital. They were doing tenders across the board. Remember, Amand Swart was shot 23 times with an AK-47. Bullets riddled his body. He wasn't in the Tembisa hospital. They believe that he's the one who exposed the corruption at Transnet that links to Katiso Molefe, whose son, we don't even know where that son is right now. He could be in Lesotho, could be Eswatini, could be in the UK. We don't know. He could be in Soweto. We have no idea. He could be watching this episode right now. Where are you, Mfana Katiso? Where are you? they're looking for you. Them Kwanazi wants to talk to you. Just if you're watching, just go talk to the general, please, man. Remember that happened. Various auditors have been killed this year for trying to expose the corruption in Ekhuruleni. Police officers were found in the Henops River, 3 of them dead. So understand, this is bigger than Tembisa Hospital. This is bigger than Tembisa Hospital. Remember Katiso Molefe? I also told you that, not Katiso Molefe. Yeah, Katiso Molefe. I told you he was trying to do a massive tender in Velkom for a whole airport and the whole economy associated with that. Hundreds of billions in that particular tender. Not millions, billions. Think about that. Wrap your mind around that. It's not just about Tembisa Hospital. So today, the topic that they were trying to bring us down to was Tembisa Hospital. So we don't look up and see the whole thing. Understand, this is the second thing I want you to understand. This scandal is exposing the work of a group of people who've been involved in dealing drugs regionally. We've been talking about Nyaupe, we've been talking about Amapara, Bonga, and Alostro, and all of these things. We've been talking about Mr. Muloto, who comes in there and says, yeah, and then he looks at these people. There's a TikTok where the guy impersonates Mr. Muloto. Very enjoyable content. But the reality is, in as much as we laugh, we understand that Nyaupe has ravaged communities. Cocaine has ravaged communities. This is what has been implicated here. The people who are dealing the drugs in all of these nightclubs, where DJs are being killed. Cape Town, Durban, Pretoria. As Amapiano has been ascending, this Hosh cartel has been ascending as well. The stealing of cars regionally. We keep hearing about cars going to Mozambique, cars going to Zimbabwe, crossing the various rivers. These are the people who have been implicated in the stealing of cars. Kidnapping has been going up. Jerry Boshocha, we saw the other kidnapping case with the Indian gentleman, which was very prominent. I can't remember his name. The kids got kidnapped, the whole thing. The guy left the country with his whole family after I think he paid the bribe, whatever the case was. That has been on the increase. That has been happening. Assassinations across society. People are being killed, riddled with bullets. We saw the Bosasa liquidators being killed. Another liquidator recently got gunned down. We've seen so many people being sprayed with bullets. Even taxi bosses are not safe. Joe Sibanyoni, Joe Ferrari, they tried to kill him too. Other taxi bosses have been killed. Same modus operandi, same Hosh cartel. These guys are not trivial. These guys are not menial. This is a serious, serious entity. And then we heard about money laundering. Think about it. There's a grey listing right now. People have been found with furniture, with, different types of stuffing. Think about the significance of everything that has been revealed. We heard at some point Thabo Mbeki speaking about money laundering and one of its deleterious effects on the economy. This it's coming home. It's going home. It's looking like it's exposing everything. That's the second thing I want you to understand. Third thing I want you to understand that this scandal is now at the point where in real life, 2 ministers of police will have a lot of explaining to do. The current the current special leave minister of police, Senzo Mchunu, the former minister of police, Bheki Cele. It's not a small series of revelations. And I don't think these 2 ministers were working by themselves in a silo. I don't think it's just them. They probably were reporting to somebody else. The question is, who was Senzo Mchunu reporting to about these events? Who was Senzo Mchunu talking to? Who's the boss? Who's the Hosh Don father, mother, grandfather, ancestor? Who's the Hosh ancestor in all of this? It's not a small series of revelations. This goes deep into the heart of the ANC. The guy was saying Brown Mkhotsi was paying for ANC events, for the minister, for delegations. It may also go into the heart of the Patriotic Alliance, which is why Gayton McKenzie has been teka-tekering all over the place. He has seemingly changed his joy levels. Have you noticed? to testify at the various bodies which are investigating this. He moved from being a cheerleader saying, call me, I know what's up, I know what's going on, to saying, well, don't talk to my lawyer. I'm gonna come, but don't ask me nicely. I'm gonna come, but ask me nicely. I ain't just gonna come just Julius wants me to come. Oh, Baba, you were the one saying you want to go to the thing. Now you don't want to go to the thing anymore. Understand that. Lastly, understand. SIU investigations are not criminal investigations. They don't lead to arrests. They make recommendations to the NPA, etc., but that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be movement. Think about this. Edwin Sodi was the last Hosh Don who was exposed in an SIU investigation. They took his cars, etc., He is, since then, now the owner of 2 of the largest nightclubs in South Africa. When his assets were sold on auction, apparently he went and bought them all back. And right now, his Hosh Mama is posting the most affluent content on TikTok and Instagram. Whatever you want to see about affluent living, she's living richer than those wives in Durban are living. Sarisha could actually be taking notes from her right now. She ain't living like that girl is living. You know, Sarisha can launch a mall every week, but that Hosh Mama of Edwin Sodi, without launching a single mall, without, the things we are seeing. Edwin Sodi has been hosting powerful people, including Hangwani Morgan Maumela at his 50th birthday party, other birthday party. As far as we can see, he's still going strong, even after that SIU investigation. Point I'm making is the SIU investigation in and of itself is not a conclusive accountability mechanism, especially when those people have money all over the place. Think about the money laundering element. Think about what we found out in Panama Papers and Paradise Papers and other papers. These guys can offshore resources. I don't even think Morgan Maumela's wealth is all in South Africa. I think a lot of that is in offshore bank accounts. All of these people, we have to ask serious questions about who was mentioned in the various papers, Paradise Papers, Panama Papers, all of these papers. South Africans were on that list as well. And we have to be cognizant of that right now, this is not the accountability that South Africa deserves for the lives that has been lost. Papita, gunned down, right? Aman Swat, gunned down. Auditors this year, gunned down. Cops pushed into rivers. There's a lot more. There is blood all over the place as the result of this Hosh behavior. All over the place. Let's go back to Khumalo. And not lose focus. So today, Khumalo's testimony was basically divided into 3 parts. Under part A, he was looking at service history and background in the South African Police Service, his roles within SAP's leadership, the establishment of the Political Killings Task Team, and, their changes in approach and strategy and what eventually made them the successful team that they are. Under part B, he's dealing with the evidence of infiltration and influence of organized crime in the criminal justice system, organized crime in the Republic of South Africa, the events that led to the whole intelligence operation that got us to this particular point, and he's also dealing with evidence of the infiltration of the justice system. Under part C, he's dealing with the disestablishment of the Political Killings Task Team. He's talking about the 121 dockets that were returned and the retaliation against the Political Killings Task Team. Today, we covered mostly part A, and then we started getting into part B. That's where we are right now. The evidence of infiltration and the Big Five. That's where we are right now. That's where things ended today. I wish they could have gone faster. I wish they could have gone faster than what they did, but they didn't. Today, he covered the service history, as I said, and in that covering of the service history, I just want to make this comment. He showed that he's a thinker and a strategist. He's one of the chess players on the SAPS team. He's someone who uses what is known as design thinking. You can see that those specs that he's wearing, they're not cosmetic specs. That man is giving nerd vibes. He's a po-po nerd. So right now, when you look at his approach to stuff, you see the design thinking. Design thinking is a system, basically, you identify problems, you design systemic interventions, you roll out those systemic interventions to solve those problems, you see improved outcomes. You can hear that he's a design thinker because he will tell you that, no, we then went to do the 5-pillar approach, right? And the 5-pillar approach, first pillar is intelligence gathering, coordination and analysis. Second pillar, proactive approach in dealing with crime or a particular threat. Third pillar talks to a combat approach in dealing with the threat. Pillar number 4 speaks to the reactive approach, detection, focused investigation of reported cases. Pillar number 5 talks about communication and liaison. So he's telling you this and then also telling you, when I rolled this out, it worked so well. I was catching rhino poachers. I was catching these guys, those guys, these guys. And this got rolled out nationally. That's not a trivial guy. That's a Kasparov. That's an Anand right there. The chess theory that is coming out of this man. He is trying to show you that he has a systemic contribution to the South African system to the point where his methodologies are being adopted nationwide, where ministers are commending his approaches and saying, Interpol, look at how we were catching the rhino poachers. Why don't you guys use this worldwide? They didn't know that the same Khumalo that they were praising would come kuluma labo about their Hosh behavior. They didn't know that the same Khumalo would take them high but take them low. They didn't know. He was exposing that. You know, he spoke about the political killings task team strategy, you know, and we already heard that the Sindiso case, where it had gone cold. And Khumalo said, lo and behold, what can we do here to catch and apprehend these people? He developed a strategy which was going to be used. Analysis-led investigation using organized crime approach. That's the name that they gave to this thing, rolled it out. And now, Bobisal dance. It's bopa season. Bopingane bopa. And then the people at the top thought they weren't going to be apprehended. They thought they weren't going to face consequences. Now ministers' names are being named in front of the whole of South Africa, the whole world. That's the point where we're at right now. And tomorrow we're going into the text messages. That's the main event tomorrow. So today was, Khumalo Monday. Tomorrow is Super Tuesday. We'll hear about the text messages to Brown Mkhotsi and the other people that were mentioned. That's the main event. After tomorrow, I think the president will not be able to say he's waiting for the final outcomes of this commission. It's going to get hotter and hotter for people like Mkhunu Sibia. I don't think they'll be able to use SIU to hide everything that will be discussed tomorrow. And maybe it's lucky, in fact, that they did this today so that tomorrow we can look clearly at all of the messages without having to think about SIU. The Tembisa Hospital scandal is a massive scandal, but it's a small part of the overall pie of Hosh behavior in South Africa. We know Transnet, we know other areas have been exposed to the same Hosh behavior. We know that municipalities are bleeding money because of these Hosh dons. And we are seeing now that there is a corporate entity, corporate approach, incentive scheme for Inkabi, for everybody to keep moving and keep getting money for these Hosh dons. Now the question I have, is Morgan Maumela one of the big five, or does he work for one of the big five? Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's stay focused, because they're trying to, let's stay focused.